this is for the movie that I just created with Amazon called Invasion. And this here that we're looking at right now is what's called a breakdown page, and it's in the Movie Magic scheduling program. If you don't have the program or can't afford the program, then you can certainly use any sort of a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet to get the same information. But you've got a scene number. You want to know whether it's an interior or an exterior, whether it's day or night, how many pages it is, and you break things into eighths of a page, and each page translates roughly into a minute of screen time. And for some reason, that formula has worked for 100 years and it still works. I have no idea why, but it does. And then you have a description of the scene so that you can always go back to that. You have what's called a script day, which is different than a shooting day. A story day is, you know, if the movie were to start out with somebody waking up in bed, that would be day one. And then everything is day one that's happening in the movie until it turns to night. And then that's night one. And then if there's a break in time, it goes to day two and so on. For this movie, we were using the sequence field for COVID so that people could evaluate how many people were going to be on set for social distancing rules. You have your actors, so you want to break down the cast who's in each scene. Are there any stunts in the scene? Is there any stunt equipment needed? Like if the actor were going to fall to the ground, you might need some stunt pads or some rigging work or something like that. And you put that in there. You want to know if there's any background extras in the shot. You want the basic set dressing. I only put in things that are special or of note. Some people will put in more detail there, but I just use those things. You want your props so that you know what props need to be there for the scene. If you have any weapons, if you have any greens, which are things like plants and that sort of stuff, if there's any special camera equipment needed, like special camera lenses, like a Steadicam or a Movi or something like that, if you're going to use it. Any grip or electrical notes that you have that might cost money or need special personnel for them. Any special equipment that could range from if you needed a tractor for a scene to a condor, anything that's out of the ordinary that you wouldn't just be carrying with you. Special effects are not visual effects, but they're the things like atmospheric smoke, if there's an explosion, a fire, if anything is like if doors are flying open, windows are flying open. Wardrobe, I only call out special things like if somebody's shirt were torn or if they were wet, something like that. Makeup and hair, are there any special things that you need to worry about? Like is the actor crying in the scene? That would mean that it's something you need that the makeup department wouldn't normally have with them. Makeup effects would be, you know, like your blood and wounds, or if you have creatures in the movie, like if there was a demon, you would put that in there because it requires special personnel, special application time, and tells you how long that scene's going to take to get ready for. If you have animals, those are always a fun thing to work with, as we all know. Additional labor covers things like police or fire, like if you're doing an explosion or if you need an ambulance for a stunt, anyone that you're not normally carrying with the crew. If there's music, like if you have a scene where the actors require music playback or the script calls for like a song on the radio, do they need to be singing along with it? Even if you don't have the music cleared, you might want something going into the actor's ears so that they've got the right vibe and they're moving in the timing that you want. And then sound notes, that's usually like off-screen lines, or if there's a phone call, you might, sometimes the actors will just act it out, but other times they might want another actor to actually be there on the call with them for the timing and for the performance. Visual effects is where you would put in if there's any visual effects for the scene. Like this was a motel that we did on stage. And we didn't look out the windows, but if we had been looking out the windows, we might have wanted to do, you know, a comp behind the window to make it feel like the city that it was supposed to be in. Clip licenses are things for like if you've got a television show playing on the TV. Questions, this is where I put my questions for the director and other people, and I just kind of track them. Once I get them answered, I take them back out. Locations or any notes for the location department if they need to take any special recourse, like to disconnect the fire alarms or something like that. Video playback is if you're going to have live playback on your computer or television screens, or if you were in a nightclub and there was material on the screen behind. Notes are things for any department, like this is for the prop department that they need to get a photo of the family to put in a magnet that goes on the refrigerator. Transpose for the transportation department, and aerial if you're lucky enough to get to work with helicopters and drones, that's notes for that department. And you do this for every single scene in the movie so that you can put it into what looks like this, which is a schedule. And this tells you how much you're going to shoot on every day. So each of these scenes is full of all of these details. These are photos from the location scout so that everybody would know what we were talking about. You know exactly who's going to be in it, what they need to have with them, what special personnel, you know where you're going to be in these locations, and how many pages you're shooting for the day. And that, in a nutshell, is kind of a 101 introduction to scheduling.